Hello and welcome to the second part of this five-part series, Hindsight-Kingdom, and where I basically rebook every single Wrestle Kingdom. If you haven't seen the first Wrestle Kingdom, the first Wrestle Kingdom rebooking video, go back and watch that. Rebook the first Wrestle Kingdom. Now we're on to rebooking the second Wrestle Kingdom. But first and foremost, most importantly, we had obviously taking hold of all the Wrestle Kingdoms. We had to book what happened between each Wrestle Kingdom. So between the Wrestle Kingdoms 1 and 2, Shuji Kondo went over Minoru to become the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, which isn't really important. Kondo wasn't on this show, and I didn't really feel like it was necessary to bring in the Junior Heavyweight title. I just didn't want to keep the belt on Minoru all the way till Wrestle Kingdom 3. So I put the belt on Kondo, who I think would have been a very good champion. He never actually got a run with the IWGP belt, but I think he would have made a very solid champion. Apollo 55 would have gone over Taka Michinoku and Dick Togo to become the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Apollo 55 had, they were sort of in there, the two were in the, Prince Devitt was in his early stages in his New Japan career, so I don't see why you'd hold off on giving those two the titles. I think giving them the titles would be a very good idea. It would be a huge win, and they'd bring the titles back from the All Japan boys. Third one, and this is the biggest one. This is the epitome of the idea myself and Josh had for Wrestle Kingdom 2. This is the storyline that would draw for this entire show on its own. It would draw so massively. This would be huge. Arguably the biggest wrestling story to have come out of Japan ever. Kurt Angle won the IGF belt, the version of the IWGP Championship from Brock Lesnar in June. Would have had him come in, win the G1 Climax, and then gone over Hiroshi Tanahashi to become the undisputed IWGP Heavyweight Champion. So he would have come in, he would have won the G1 Climax, the biggest wrestling tournament in the world, and then he would have beaten Tanahashi to become the undisputed IWGP Heavyweight Champion. How big would that have been? That would have been huge. That would have been massive, and that would have gotten global coverage. And that's a big part of the main event. And Blue Justice Army, Yuji Nagata and Wataru Inoue would have gone over Manabu, Nakanishi and Takao Omori to become the IWGP Tag Team Champions. So here we are, Wrestle Kingdom 2, live from the Tokyo Dome on January the 4th, 2008. First match of the night would have been Giant Bernard and Travis Tomko, who were obviously a tag team in Wrestle Kingdom 1, against Masahiro Chono and Hiroyoshi Tenzan. Cho-Ten. Yeah, Cho-Ten are opening the show. You don't want to have Chono. I don't really have a problem with having Tenzan higher up on the card, but Chono does not need to be higher up on the card. Bernard was still a little. Yeah, he still needed a little bit of time to hone his skills at this point, and Tomko was shit. Tomko is shit. Tomko will always be shit. Hopefully he would give some effort in this match. But the major deal would be to get the crowd off to a nice rowdy start. Chono and Cho-Ten would go over here. Obviously, they would have had a lot of heat coming off the back of the Wrestle Kingdom 1 tag team match, where but Chono obviously not getting pinned. You could have had Tenzan maybe build Tenzan, maybe even have him challenge for the IWGP title unsuccessfully. off the back of that. And eventually rolls round to this huge, a big reunion. Cho-Ten just go over Bernard. Tenzan obviously getting the pin with the TTD on Tomko, because honestly, who gives a shit about Tomko? So that would be a nice way to get get that would get the show off to a nice start. Team 3D versus Toru Yano and Togi Makabe. Team 3D were there for this card. They wrestled a similar sort of match. They wrestled a I can't remember who they wrestled. But they definitely wrestled a hardcore match. Let me just check that. I can't remember who they wrestled. This is going to bother me if I don't check it. So, but here they would be facing Togi and Yano, and what would basically be a straight up brawl. That's what Team 3D are. They are brawlers. They've made a career out of being these sort of hard hitting, table loving extremists that would just if you're gonna get into the ring with them, they're just gonna beat the crap out of you, basically. So that's what they'd be here. They'd bring I thought so. They actually had a match with Yano and Makabe. I wasn't sure, but this was actually the match from Wrestle Kingdom 2. So basically keeping the same match. This would be a stiff match. These two teams just beat the crap out of each other, and obviously you want to build, like I said in the first video, I want to build Makabe to be a big star. So I actually have Makabe go over Brother Ray, yeah, with the King Kong new drop. So you've got two solid tag team matches where you've got big time old school baby faces. Sort of the legends go over the gaijins, and then you have the young up and coming team of well, Makabe isn't exactly young. I don't think Yano's not that young either. So, but you have the sort of the fresh team of Makabe and Yano over Team 3D, the legends. So, but you've still got New Japan going over the gaijins, which would lead me into the third match of the night. Christian Cage, who was there at that show, would go over Koji Kanemoto. This match was actually just rather. I wanted Cage to be on the card, and because I love me a bit Christian. He's a great wrestler, and I think he even in front of a Japanese crowd, he'd get a good reaction, so, because he's that good of a wrestler. And by this point, I'd made several of the upper card matches, and he just sort of didn't really know who we were going to put him against. And I said, it just sprang to mind, why not put him against Kanemoto, and just rather than have a match that has to have a story, just give him a great fucking match, because that's what this would be. This would be a great fucking match. Christian Cage would go in there, and he would wrestle with one of the greatest New Japan boys, New Japan Junior boys of all time, and they would have a solid, pretty. Kanemoto would kick the fuck out of Cage, and it would be interesting to see how he reacted to that. This match would be for me. It would be one of those matches that you could see maybe outshining the rest of the card. That could be a diamond in the rough. That could be match of the night. It's definitely a dark horse match of the night. And Cage would go over with the Emperor here, because obviously Cage was obviously, being a TNA guy. You've got to give them something. I mean, you've just beaten probably their top tag team, so you have to give them something. And Cage was, he'd lost the NWA title, and he never actually won the TNA title. He won the NWA title, never won the TNA title. But I think I know by the end of this year he was leaving for WWE. But by this time, I think maybe they were building him towards another title shot. I can't really remember, but I'd have to have him go over Kanemoto. I just think he's him going over Kanemoto would help with the card as well. Help with the with later on in the card, because it would twist. The fans would look at it and see, oh god, one of the Gaijins is going over. Crap. And in the in Cage, obviously Cage Go. Fourth match of the night, IWGP Jr Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. You have Apollo 55 versus the Motor City Machine Guns, who we pulled in. They were about to, oh, who knows what they were about to do, but Apollo 55, obviously, great tag team. Motor City Machine Guns, I mean, there's not many junior heavyweight teams that can really hang at that level. I can honestly say that the only team right now that I think are anywhere near as good as the Guns at that sort of weight class would be Golden Lovers. I don't even think Apollo 55 are that good. But yeah, these two teams would go out there and they would have another great match. Just hitting them with great match after great match after great match. It's just a card full of solid matches. There's not a bad match on here, not in my opinion. And this would be a big deal, because I'd actually have the Guns go over and take the titles, and this would be another moment. It would build the story. There would be not only would there be a huge build coming up to the show, but you would have a build throughout the show. So as you're watching the show, you'd watch the first two matches and you think, yeah, New Japan, solid start. And then you've got the next two matches and you're starting to think, oh, maybe not so solid for New Japan. Then they've just lost their junior heavyweight tag team titles again, just like they did last year. Only this time it's to a Gaijin team. I mean, no matter how over the Motor City Machine Gun team is, they are still Gaijins. And losing to a Gaijin team is a big deal. That would be a big deal to New Japan fans of that show. So you'd have the New Japan. This would build a lot of anticipation in the New Japan fans, and again, it would be a fantastic match between those two fantastic teams. Fifth match of the night, you have the IWGP Tag Team Championships on the line as Blue Justice Army, Yuji Nagata and Wataru Inoue defend against Masato Tanaka and Shinjiro Otani. This would be a prelude to a match that planning for next year at Wrestle Kingdom. I'm not going to spoil that. Nagata and Inoue would obviously coming in as the champs, having gone over Nakanishi and Omori. They'd have to have a solid few defenses before this match. And Tanaka is one of the I think he's one of the best heavyweights out there. Otani is another top notch heavyweight, and these two great team, and I think Tanaka and Nagata actually have a heck of a lot of chemistry. They really do. They have some great chemistry between them. I would see them having a great time with it in this match, because I think that I feel like they just work so well together, and I don't think this would be any different. I think this would be another match where they would just steal the show, really. So I think this would obviously be another big deal because, again, the outsiders go over. And this time in the form of Tanaka and Otani. And again, another big deal. New Japan losing their belts, losing their biggest show of the year. Just New Japan losing on home turf. That's a huge deal. And the crowd would be so. And this is why this next match is placed absolutely perfectly. And I'd have I didn't mention the finishes for the last two matches. I'd have Saban go over to Taguchi with a cradle shot because Devitt doesn't need to take the pin if he's going to be built up. And Tanaka, Masato Tanaka would go over Yuji Nagata with the sliding D. So Tanaka and Otani would be taking the tag team titles with them. So the next match, I think, with that huge title change, another huge title change, you'd have this match being placed. This match would be placed so well. This match would be placed absolutely perfectly. And this actually happened on the card. Another match that actually happened on the card. So yeah, New Japan can do some things right, but I changed a few things about this match. Muta versus Goto. The Great Muta versus Hiroki Goto. This would be Goto's New Japan debut, and Goto would be being pushed to the moon. He would be a superstar by the time I'm done with it. He would be on the level of Nakamura and Tanahashi, if not ahead of them. So I would definitely push this match big time. It would be Goto just comes in and he's a beast. He's just a beast. I mean, he looks like a fucking tank. I mean, and he can go. He can go. He is so good in the ring. And obviously Muta is a huge name. Keiji Muta, Great Muta, whatever you want to call him. He's a huge name, and he has drawability, and he's a multi-time heavyweight champion. He is probably the most well-known name in, well, arguably the most well-known name in pro wrestling. So this match definitely makes sense, and you can really showcase Goto here. But case in point with the notion of New Japan's fucking ridiculous booking. Muta won this. Why? What does New Japan gain from putting Muta over Goto? What does Muta gain from going over Goto? What does anyone gain from Muta going over Goto? Not a damn thing. Nobody gains anything from Muta going over Goto. Nobody gains a thing. Muta's still going to be credible whether he loses to Goto or not. And if Goto wins, he looks like a beast. And you've got somebody who has momentum behind them, who has a big win over a big name. And from there, you can really push Goto. You can rocket him to the moon and back. You can really push this guy after this match, because he's a star after this. He may not be a superstar yet, but he is a star after this. People sit up and they take notice if Goto goes over Muta. Muta goes over Goto. Goto's just another name on a card. Goto goes over Muto. Goto is somebody that people are going to sit up and take notice of. Goto is a fucking star. And it pisses me off that New Japan don't recognize that. And with this series is gonna we're gonna do what New Japan didn't, and we're gonna make Goto into a superstar. So you better fucking watch the next few videos. You better fucking watch them. Okay. It does annoy me when I talk about how badly they've ruined Goto, because he's my favorite heavyweight by a long way in New Japan, and in all of Japan actually. Seventh match of the night. Obviously, because you've got Muto versus Goto, New Japan fans would sort of would have calmed down a bit. Because obviously New Japan versus New Japan, New Japan's going to get a win either way. So, and then you have the seventh match of the night, and AJ Styles, who opened the show. What a waste! AJ Styles opened the fucking show. Why? He's over in Japan. Even in Japan, he was thought of once as one of the best wrestlers in the entire fucking world. Maybe not in 2008, but at one point he was thought of as one of the best wrestlers in the world. And even at this point, he had so much credibility, because he's AJ fucking Styles. Why are you putting him in the opener? And I could say the same with Christian Cage. Why? I know they're TNA guys, but putting them in the opener is like... I know back then TNA actually had a product that was watchable. I mean, I didn't watch, but it was watchable. And doing this is just spitting in the face, and it's an insult to them. No wonder they buried New Japan guys when they came over. New Japan buried their guys when they came over. That's not a working relationship. That's a who's got a bigger wang. I don't care who's got the bigger dick. I don't care. I want to see Styles utilised properly. If AJ Styles was at the top of the card but lost to Nakamura, I would have been fine with that. Even near the top of the card. And they put somebody, maybe even put him in an IWGP Jr Heavyweight Championship match and have him put on a heck of a show. He would have been stuck in the middle of the card, but he would have had a better match than that fucking awful 6-man. Whew. I've gone into full rant mode now. Sorry. Get back on track with the card. Seventh match of the night, AJ Styles versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, the semi-main event. Obviously, part of the idea of the card would be you'd have TNA versus New Japan. And so far you've got Team 3D going under to Yano and Maccabi. So that's 1 to New Japan. And you've got Cage going over Kanemoto, that's 1 to TNA. And then you've got the Guns going over Apollo 55, that's 2 to TNA. So 2-1 TNA, so they have 2 matches left. New Japan, if they lose this match, TNA walk with it. So, and New Japan fans are obviously nervous as fuck. The tension is at fever pitch. And this match, you've got AJ Styles coming in. And AJ Styles, like I said, was thought of at one point as one of the biggest wrestlers in the world, even in Japan. Even the Japanese fans looked at AJ Styles and said, that guy right there is one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's one of the biggest talents in the world. Bar none. Bar none. And even at this point, he still had credibility to his name. He hadn't destroyed his career just yet. And obviously Tanahashi is the former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He lost to Kurt Angle. Lost the belt to Kurt Angle. He is, he's pretty fucking huge. So you have these two go out there and you have them put on a show. They put on a show. They put on a great match. They had the Styles Tanahashi match. I think they had it a few months further down the line. I think. But why not put it at Wrestle Kingdom and have it mean something and have it be a big deal and have it be a great match at a great show? Because this show, this would be a brilliant time for Styles and Tanahashi to go out there and have a 4-star, a 4.5-star, even a 5-star classic. This would be the perfect time for them to go out there and show wrestling fans just how good they both are. Because, like I said, the crowd would be, the tension in that building would be so big, so it would be, you could literally, you would be able to cut the tension with a knife. Fans would be on the edge of their seats for this match, because obviously the 2-1, the unassailable 3-1 advantage that TNA can gain. Tanahashi is one of their biggest stars. Styles is a huge name, and these two would put on a fantastic match. Tanahashi would go over, because he has to, because otherwise TNA have got 3-1 lead, and where does this leave the main event? So Tanahashi goes over Styles with a bridging dragon, because he's still saving the high fly flow. Watch out for that one next year, next video, next year's Wrestle Kingdom, at the next year's Wrestle Kingdom. Got something planned there. And then we have the main event. There was so much thought and effort put into planning this main event between myself and Josh. We spent so long discussing this, and the pair of us are so proud of this angle. This angle is, no pun intended, one of the biggest in wrestling history. Okay. So, obviously you have Kurt Angle beat Brock Lesnar to become the IGF's version of the IWGP champion. They took the belt that Brock never gave back, and they put it on Angle. And then Angle would come in at the G1 Climax, and he would go through everybody. He would go through everybody, and he would win the tournament. And then he would go. He would be the first ever Gaijin, the first ever non-New Japan guy to win the G1 Climax. How big? That's a huge deal. You could have this be such a big deal. Obviously Kurt Angle won't be there for the whole year. He will come and he will make his title defenses, but he's not going to be there the whole from August when he wins the G1 all the way through to January of the next year, where he's at Wrestle Kingdom. So Kurt goes back to TNA and he does what he does, and he has the belt, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal. He puts over New Japan in the way that only Kurt Angle can. He will say he went over to New Japan and he won the biggest wrestling tournament in the world, and then he went into their backyard and beat their heavyweight champion and took their title back to TNA to show how great of a wrestler he is, to show how great of a superstar he is, to show just how big Kurt Angle really is. He really is a world champion. He is a world champion. He went to Japan and he beat the best they had to offer, and then they beat their champion. And he took his belt. He took their belt, and he did something no other wrestler could do. No wrestler ever did. No other wrestler may ever do. I mean, it would be huge. It would get so much exposure for New Japan. And then you've got the question of who's going to take the belt off of him. So you've got that sort of sitting around. And then you've got a young, up-and-coming talent by the name of Shinsuke Nakamura.
And he would come in and he would challenge Kurt Angle, or he would become the #1 contender for Wrestle Kingdom, challenge Kurt Angle, whatever. He would be the guy that New Japan puts the weight of the world on. Now, Kurt Angle coming into this match would have all the momentum in the world. He would have been, I believe at this point, he would have been TNA champion. He was the TNA heavyweight champion. He was the IWGP champion. He was probably maybe the #1 guy in the world in terms of wrestling ability, putting on great matches, um, all round at this point. Kurt Angle was probably the #1 guy. So having him come in to New Japan, win the G1, win the title, and then come into Wrestle Kingdom with Angle being the heel that he was at the time, the cocky, arrogant heel that thinks that basically thinks he's basically pissing gold. Everything he touches turns to gold. Everything he does goes as well for him as it possibly can. Kurt Angle is the man. Kurt Angle is this mega star. Kurt Angle is everything. Kurt Angle is the Omega. Kurt Angle is Kurt Angle. Multi-time World Heavyweight Champion. Olympic gold medalist. The best wrestler on the planet. And Nakamura goes in at the biggest New Japan show of the year when Kurt Angle thinks this is my night. This is my night. I'm going to come to your biggest show. I'm going to beat your biggest up and coming star. And I'm going to walk out with the title, and I'm going to take all your dreams and I'm going to crush them. You all think your little hero Nakamura could come and save you. I think you're all wrong, and I'm going to prove it. In fact, I know you're all wrong. I know you're all wrong because I'm that good. And at the biggest stage of them all, at Wrestle Kingdom, the second Wrestle Kingdom, live from the Tokyo Dome, Tokyo, Japan, on January the 4th, 2008, the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the man, the biggest star in professional wrestling, Kurt Angle, taps out to Shinsuke Nakamura's crucifix armbar in the middle of the ring. Clean as a whistle. You had the biggest story in professional wrestling, and definitely in Japanese wrestling. You have the Gaijin come, the huge Gaijin star, the huge and it's not like you're having a John Cena come over. It's Kurt Angle. It's Kurt freaking Angle. There are very few people you could have very few Gaijins that you could have come in and do that. But Kurt Angle could. And if you could hand pick anybody, Kurt Angle would be the guy you would hand pick. And they could have done it. I'm sure they could have done it. They could have done it. The deal with TNA, I mean, they have a working relationship with TNA. They could have done this, but they didn't. You know, Josh put it best. Two guys from two capital cities, two completely different parts of the world, over a Skype call, put together arguably the biggest angle in in hero history in the matter of a few hours. So Shinsuke Nakamura goes over, becomes the new IWGP Heavyweight Champion, goes over Kurt Angle, goes over the biggest star in the world. Nakamura is made. He wasn't made before. He is now. He is now the biggest star. He is New Japan's savior. He came in when the odds were stacked against him, with the weight of the company on his back, carrying New Japan on his back, with everybody backstage hoping and praying that he could pull out the victory. All the fans in the Tokyo Dome on the edge of their seats, hoping, praying Nakamura could pull this one out for not just for New Japan, not just for the fans, not just for the locker room, but for the country of Japan itself. And he did it. He did it. As all good stories go, the hero, Nakamura, comes out and defeats the villain, Kurt Angle, takes the belt home, takes the belt back to New Japan, and you have a show that might even topple WrestleMania 17. I'm just saying. It's been WrestleFrack with Wrestle Kingdom 2. Do look out for Wrestle Kingdom 3, 4, and 5, which will be coming in the near future. If you haven't already, subscribe to Josh, Burning Discipline, link down below. Do subscribe to him. Do subscribe to me if you haven't already, and let me know what you think of this card. This is probably the best of the 5, but don't think that doesn't mean the next 3 aren't great as well, because they are. And Wrestle Kingdom 3 is going to be just as big in a sense as this Wrestle Kingdom was, so look out for that. From me, peace. And like I said, don't think this means that the next few shows aren't huge, because they are. Peace.